Hello everybody, my name is Connor and today we're going to be going over creating scale aware materials inside of Unreal Engine 4. Now please note that this will only work with tiling textures and will not work with individually textured UV islands. So let's get straight into this. So what do I mean by scale aware material? What I mean is the material is going to take into account this object scale. Okay, or the object radius, and it's going to tile the texture according to how big or small the radius of this object is. Now, why does this help? Imagine a level designer is using this texture in his level to quickly create assets, okay? And he wants to apply this tiling texture to, a wall or something, and then he has a much smaller wall in that game, and he wants to apply it to that same wall. But as you can see here, I have 3 different variations, or scale variations of this cube. And if you look at this first one, you can see that the pixels are a lot more spread out, a lot more even, okay? But if we look at this second cube here, it gets very dense, okay? And again, with this third one, even more dense. Okay, so how do we make this texture here apply the same scale to this mesh and this mesh without manually going and tiling it? So the reason why this would help is if you could imagine you had a lot of cliff rocks, cliff faces, and usually when you're using rocks, you would scale, you would duplicate that rock, rotate it, scale it, just to try and get some variation. Now, if you had, different scale rocks all put together, and they all had the same texture, and it was a lot, as you can see here, it's a lot dense here and dense there. What's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of kind of blotchy, pixelated spots, and a lot of spots that are really dense, and just, it wouldn't make sense, neither would it look realistic. So to fix this, all we have to do is come into our material. Now I've already added an object radius, so I'm just going to delete that. Okay, so it's basically just a simple material setup, nothing special. I've just literally grabbed the nodes and plugged them into their corresponding inputs. So the nodes we're going to use for this are an object radius, as you just saw. Okay. Now this is it basically gets the information of the radius of your object. Okay. So what do I mean by that? So if I turn on my advanced bounds and I click on this one, okay. So as you can see, I've just turned on bounds, okay? Now, if you look, just imagine that this cube here is this cube here. For some reason, the bounds won't show on this one, I'm not really sure. But if you look carefully, this blue box is the object bounds. Okay, now I can rotate this and it will change. It's a bit bigger here because the bounds is determined by the world space rather than the object space. But if you look here, we have this outer circle, which is yellow. Now this is the object radius. Now what this does is it calculates the size of the mesh, and it will create 2 circles, 1, 2, and then it will actually create a third one around there. Now, if this isn't making sense, leave me a comment in the description and I'll answer your questions. Whenever I rotate this mesh, it will not go outside of the circle. I could scale it and the circle will scale up, but if I was to rotate the mesh in any direction, okay, it's always going to stay within that radius. So I hope that made a little bit of sense. But we're going to go and create this material now. So we need an object radius. The next thing you're going to need is a texture coordinate. Now you may be, texture URE. You may be familiar with this one, and what I meant by manually scaling is that you can actually plug in the texture coordinate into the UV section of your tiling texture. Now remember, this only works with tiling textures, it will not work with individually painted UV islands. And I could, for instance, put, if you heard that, I've just not mic, 2 by 2. And this is going to tile that texture 2 times by 2. So if you can imagine, we originally had the 2048 texture going across. Now it's tiling, 2048 and 2048. So if we click apply, and you're going to see the texture get a lot smaller. But that doesn't solve our issue, okay? It's a lot more dense now, here and here, here. So if we break these connections, and I put that back to 1 by 1. Okay. Now we're also going to need a scalar parameter. Now it's always good to use parameters because if you're creating a material instance, like I have one there, you can actually adjust these values on the fly without having to come back into here and adjust them. So we're going to name this to object scale. Get rid of that K. There we go. And then we're going to need some multiply nodes. So we're going to have to get to multiply. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply the object radius by another multiply node, like that. So you should have 2 multiply nodes. The first one, the A channel going into the object radius. The next thing we're going to do is plug in our texture coordinate into the A channel of the second multiply node and the object scale into the B channel of the second multiply node. Okay, now we can apply this to the UV section of our tiling texture. And you should see that the texture is going to kind of distort and you're just going to see a color. So it's pretty much going to work. Now why this is because our scaling is set to 0. Okay, so this texture has just been stretched out so much that it's, this is basically a pixel, if you like to call it. So the best value to use for this is actually 0.01. And this will put your texture to the correct size as it was before. Now if I use 0.02, it's going to scale it even more. So that's a way to scale it, but it's best to use 0.01. Okay, so now that's basically it. If I just add a comment here, highlight them all, press C, and call this, oh, damn, breaking it already. All right, this isn't all that, screw it. Let's do that, put 0.01 back into that, and save. Now, if you look carefully, I'm going to drag this, make sure the material is on there. But if I actually duplicate this one, scale it up, if you look, the material is scaling with it. Okay, the material is tiling with it rather than it stretching out. Same as this one. If I grab that now and then scale it down, if I actually real time, I don't know why. But the material is scaling with it here. So that fixes our issue. Right, you see it pretty even there and pretty even there. So yeah, I hope that helped. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you found this helpful, please remember to subscribe and leave your feedback down below. Also, hitting that like button helps a lot. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in my next tutorial. Bye.